I'm not ashamed.
Why did Jesus heal people of their diseases? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Matthew on walking through the Bible.
Of his word, the glory of his cross.
If you have a Bible with you, you can turn to Matthew chapter 14. We're going to be reading from verses 34 to 36. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Matthew chapter 14, beginning at verse 34. When they had crossed over, they came to the land of Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized him, they sent out into all that surrounding region, brought to him all who were sick, and begged him that they might only touch the hem of his garment. And as many as touched it were made perfectly well. In this chapter, we have explained to us why John the Baptist was beheaded, and then shown two miracles of Jesus. John the Baptist was beheaded not because he was preaching about the coming kingdom of Christ, but because he had told Herod that he did not have the right to be married to Herodias, because Herodias was his brother's wife. This angered Herodias so much that when Herod made a foolish vow to his stepdaughter, the vow being that he would give her whatever she wanted, that Herodias asked for the head of John the Baptist. Herod, because he had made the vow, did as he was asked. Later, though, when he had heard about the miracles of Jesus, he had concluded that Jesus must be the resurrected John the Baptist, evidence that Herod had a guilty conscience. Word of Herod's conclusion reached Jesus, which caused him and the disciples to cross over the Sea of Galilee outside of Herod's jurisdiction. While there, multitudes came to Jesus to be healed. They were with him all day, and for this reason he fed them with but 5 loaves and 2 fish. This miracle of Jesus was the first time we saw Jesus use his powers to multiply food. If you recall from Matthew 4, there Jesus refused to use his powers to turn stones into bread. What made this event different? In Matthew 4, it was not necessary for Jesus to turn stones into bread, for he could find food another way. In Matthew 14, the people would not be able to make it home in order to eat, and thus would suffer on their journey. In other words, it was necessary for Jesus to feed them. This miracle showed the power of Jesus, but it wasn't used as a tool to teach the people with the gospel, as some churches do today. After this miracle, Jesus sent his disciples to cross the Sea of Galilee again, while he went away to pray. During their trip, a windstorm developed. In between 3 and 6 a.m., Jesus came walking on the water. The disciples thought they had seen a ghost, but Jesus told them not to fear, for it was him. Peter didn't believe him and said that if it was Jesus, he would command Peter to come out to him on the water. Jesus told him to come. Initially, Peter came out and started walking on the water, but then he looked around at the storm, his faith wavered, and he began to sink. Jesus saved Peter, got into the boat, and calmed the storm. Once again, Jesus showed his power over nature. All of this brings us to today's reading. They finished their crossing of the Sea of Galilee and came to the land of Gennesaret. What land is this? It is the land of Galilee. Sometimes the Sea of Galilee is known as the Sea of Gennesaret, so that is how we know this. Combine this with the fact that John 6:17, a parallel passage, says that they sailed towards Capernaum, a city in Galilee, and we can know for certain that this is what that land was. When Jesus got there, the people of that place recognized who he was, for by that time he was quite a famous teacher. What did these people do? They sent out to all the surrounding regions and brought to him all that were sick in order to be healed. These people didn't demand that Jesus heal them. They begged that Jesus would heal them, and if he wouldn't touch them directly, that they could but touch the hem of his garment and be healed like the woman with the issue of blood did in Matthew 9. And that's exactly what happened. For as many as touched his garment were healed straight away and made perfectly well. Why did Jesus heal these people? I believe it is for the same reason that he fed the 5,000, which was that he had compassion on them. In verse 14 of this chapter, it is said that that is the reason he healed the people, too, on the east side of the Sea of Galilee. So it is very probable that that is why he healed the people here. Jesus was God in the flesh, but he was also a man who had human emotions. Compassion is one of these emotions, an emotion that we get directly from God, for God also had compassion on us. Jesus wasn't this uptight man who cordoned himself off from the people and all he did was preach. No, he had compassion and love for the people, that he also performed miracles, which was his way of helping them. Now, yes, he used these miracles to further his spread of the gospel, but that was not the only reason for doing it. Today, we cannot perform miracles, but we can have compassion on others and do what we can to help not only in the spreading of the gospel, but in alleviating some of the earthly needs of others as well. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Matthew 15, verses 1 to 9, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
I'm not ashamed.
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.
Of his cross.